Welcome to Sexy Mom Abundant Life with best-selling author and coach Kathy Williams, a show to help you tap into the support of the universe and access the abundance that's available in every area of your life. Listen in for conversations and tools to create more ease, joy, and possibility with family, relationships, business, and living. Kathy's joyful perspective will help you tap into your own wisdom and create a life of presence and abundance your way. Listen live on Thursdays at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, or anytime on iTunes or at OMFM.
Welcome to Sexy Mom Abundant Life. What interesting times we're living in, right? And there's so much that's not under our control, but what is under our control is this moment, right? How we show up and respond to this moment. So with that, take a breath. You're here. You made it. You've been through hard things before. You'll get through this, right? One way or another. And so, even some sound is super good. You know, I was teaching yoga online the other day, yoga to calm the nervous system. And I said, one of those things that's really calming for us that we don't think about too much is the sound, like even just, you know, I mean, a lot of people think of Om in terms of yoga, but even just sighing, right? And verbalizing, or sometimes like screaming is calming because it gets it out. So, anyway, that's not the topic of today's show, but if there is a topic that you would like to see, I would love to hear from you at meetkathywilliams.com about this show, about any show, and you can find past shows there on the page. Radio, go figure. So I'm super excited today because my guest is Jósa Goodlife, and she's from New York City, surviving the big city and this time of being inside. And we are working together creatively. And I just thought it would be so much fun to have her on the show for a conversation about creativity and how we can channel like all this energy into, you know, new and unique places and spaces. So I'll say a little bit about her before we get going. His has got a book in the works, and it's a beauty. It's very different, like very, very, very interesting way of presenting her journey with a tremendously challenging experience of having cancer. And so I'll let her say more about that if that topic arises. But Jósa is a healer and a creative in New York. She teaches Access Bars classes. She does, like I do, Akashic readings, which are super fun and amazing and revealing in a lot of ways. And she's a tremendously fun writer to read. So welcome to the show, Jósa. I'm so delighted to have you here.
Thank you so much, Kathy. I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you. And I didn't say, you know, you came from Iceland, you've lived in Copenhagen, you're quite like, how'd you end up in New York City?
Oh yeah, how did I end up here? Like 6 years ago. So I met a guy in Copenhagen. It's going to be actually 9 years ago soon, I think. Yeah. And he's American. And so we had been together for like a couple of months when he actually lost his job in Copenhagen. And it's funny because he had just said, I hope I never have to move back to America.
Oh.
And then he just lost his job. And I was kind of like, wow, interesting. And so like a year later or so, he had to move back after not finding a new job in Copenhagen. And then, you know, our fate was kind of like, you know, rocking back and forth, like, are we going to, you know, what are we going to do? And I kind of knew that we would have to get married in order to, like, just do this. And, but we were definitely not ready. That was the funny part. So, you know, it's kind of weird to, get married to somebody that you love, but when you're not feeling ready to get married, but in order to be together, you have to get married, right? So that's what we chose to do. And yeah, I've been here since, for 6 years in Brooklyn with him.
Well, and that's so interesting too, because just before this show, we were talking about Elizabeth Gilbert, and she wrote a book on that very topic. What's the name of it? It was the one that came out right after Eat, Pray, Love, and it was about marriage, and the challenge of it, and that adventure. So, but we were really talking about her as an author because of the book Big Love. I mean, not Big Love. We both love the book Big Magic. We both love the book, which is why I said Big Love, but it's actually called Big Magic, and it's her process with creativity. And I think, for me, what I loved is that it confirmed a lot of my own like experiences with creativity.
Absolutely, same here.
Cool. Would you say more about that? What was that like for you, or what did she kind of confirm for you?
So I felt like, I read the Eat, Pray, Love, and that one changed my life completely. I actually traveled to India right after because I got so excited.
Oh, really?
And that was just before, like, all the whatever dramatic happened in my life right after. So I feel in a way that I owe Elizabeth Gilbert like a big thank you for bringing me out into the world by myself, like all the way to India, which I dared to do after reading her book. I got so inspired by reading her book. So when the Big Magic came out, I bought it here in the local bookshop in Greenpoint, and oh my God, I was so excited. I was like a little kid. I just knew somehow that there would be something in this book that I knew, but she was just able to verbalize it and put it together in a book. And it felt exactly like that, because I know, like, I kind of feel like connected to her in many ways. And it felt like so, the Big Magic, I mean, how she's describing this, and it's in a way that is not necessarily super spiritual, but it is overly spiritual. It's magic, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's so interesting because I think the perspective of, like, I was talking with a coaching group the other day, and talking about creating. Oh, I know who it was. It was in an interview. It was not a coaching group. It was in an interview I was doing about creation, and a woman said, "So tell me how you create." And I was like, "Oh, well, it depends, of course, right? It depends on, was it an idea that was given to me verbally by someone else? Was it an idea that just like kind of popped in my head, or was I teaching a class and then someone asked this question, which I thought, oh, that needs to be its own topic or its own class?" Like, the way we create, I think, depends on the circumstances of, first off, what are we creating? And so where the idea comes from is either a mystery, a complete mystery, like it just came. Or someone gave it to you, in some way. Or there was one idea that kind of led to, oh, well, I can put this and this together and create something with it.
Yeah.
So Elizabeth Gilbert in Big Magic talks about, this poet who almost feels like she hears the poetry like coming across the land, and it'll go through her. And if she doesn't run and get a pen, which I'm like, why didn't she just always carry a pen and paper with her? But if she doesn't run and get a pen, she will miss it, and it'll just travel on without her. And so I love the idea of, a lot of times we think it's on us, like it's on me. The thing I'm writing is about me. Like, I'd imagine you've even thought about that with your own book. Like, it's about me, and it is actually your story.
Yeah. I mean, about that was funny because for many years I struggled with not wanting to write this book. You know, there was something in me that wanted to do it, but then as the year, it's because this is something that happened like 10 years ago. So it took me like the first 2-3 years. I was like, yeah, I knew it, because right when this happened, I was like, I knew that I had to make a book. I just, of course, did not know how it would show up or when. But I remember being like, because I have a tendency to try to push things away, you know, I'm like, oh no, yeah, well, somebody else is going to do this better than I do, you know. So I'm like, oh, there's so many books about this anyway.
Yeah.
So I would try to push it away, but the more that it kept, you know, it would almost take me up and shake me, like, and it was like literally, and then I started to understand. I was like, this is not about me, you know. Yes, a part of me wants to release, and, you know, it would be fun to kind of just get it out. But when I started to realize that it was kind of almost like the earth that was asking me to do this, or like there was like this existence, you know, that was asking me to do this. And then I started to really follow the guidance, and I took it serious. I started to take it seriously, you know, more seriously when I realized.
I think I love that. It was kind of persistent, right?
Yeah.
Your idea it was like, hey, hello, come on.
Yeah.
I love that. I think so often people have an idea and, like you said, think, oh, well, it's been done before, right? And I even remember, reading something when I was probably 19 or 20, that someone was talking about, well, yeah, it's been done before, so you're not special, right?
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm thinking, okay.
Yeah.
Letting that kind of inform like how I felt about life, about creation, about the world. Like, yeah, you're just not special.
I know.
Instead of, what if I had been given the idea, like, yes, it may have been done before, but not in your unique way. And that's what I'd love listeners to hear. Like, yes, someone may have written about what you're going to write, but not in your unique way. Or someone may have created a video series on your topic, or a radio show, or a you know, even reupholstering a couch, right? Yes, it's been done before, but not in your unique way. And it's not only about the end product, right? Like, a lot of times we think, oh, well, it's been done before, therefore I should just go watch Netflix or something, right?
Yeah.
But part of it's the process of creating, and what you learn in that process, and what you uncover about yourself, and the magic in the process of creation itself. That's irreplaceable. Irreplaceable.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's to me. So about that, I can say that this is the one most surprising process that I've ever gone through in my life, you know. It is. Because
Would
it's
you say
also
more?
like, I can say more. So, you know, a story about, like, you know, a young woman who has just like gone through this like hysterectomy as a 32-year-old, and just knows that her life is going to be like super changed, like, but she doesn't have a clue how, you know. And then it just like, from there, you know, I knew that I had to do something about this, you know. It's like there was, so what came to me at that point was like, okay, if I'm not going to give birth to a baby in this lifetime, I'm going to give birth to a book, you know. Oh, yeah, that was what came. So, and then from there, like, knowing that I would have to do this, I didn't know how, I didn't know when. I mean, literally this process has taken, it's literally 10 years ago, but it's when I passed the 10 years, Like last year was really intense for me because I felt like it should be out, it should be finished, it should be ready. But actually now what's going on is like much more interesting than I could ever imagine, because editing the book right now, you know, with this amazing book fairy that I know who, you know, is doing a lot of amazing, like, coaching with me. It feels like this is like I'm going back through the process, but right now it's in this timeline where we right now, with whatever is happening with the coronavirus, we don't have a clue what's going to happen after. And it's exactly the same situation I was in 10 years ago, you know.
Yes. Yes. That is super cool. You know, and one thing that kind of came up for me when you were talking is that idea that you thought it should be created by now, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
yeah,
it should be done and out in the world. And how often we think that about our creations, like, oh yeah, you know, I'm off in the timeline. Like it should be done, or it should be different. Or
and how often
like,
do we stop ourselves there? We're like, oh, so I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, and the other thing that just kind of popped is we think that our audience is where we are. And what I mean by that is maybe not so much for a book about a journey with cancer, all right, where you're through it, and the people who are going to read it, a lot of them will not be through it when they're reading the book. Or maybe they will be, but you know, you have something to offer. But a lot of times I think we've learned something, and so we're writing about point A to point B, but we're already on C or D. So we think, oh, what's the point of writing about point A to point B, right? I'm already over here. And we neglect to realize that, oh, yeah, but there are a lot of people who are still wondering about A to B. And so it is valid to keep writing about this and not just drop it and walk away.
Exactly.
And I know we're talking a lot about writing, and you are not all writers. But everybody is creative. So when we get back, because we're going to head to break, we'll talk a little bit about inviting more creativity in various areas of your life, and also ways to stop stopping you if you are stopping yourself. So thanks so much for listening to Sexy Mom Abundant Life, and we'll be back in just a moment. Aloha.
Feed your soul with waves of consciousness on OMTimes Radio. OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Hello, I'm Sandy Sedgbeer, host of OMTimes Magazine's flagship radio show, What is Going On? My passion is sifting through information, research, and innovations from new thought teachers, speakers, and researchers, pushing back the boundaries of what we know about life, energy, metaphysics, and the universe. I love shifting perceptions about who we are, why we're here, and how quickly impossible becomes normal when we open our minds, expand our awareness, and accept that the only limits that exist are those we place upon ourselves. So if you're the kind of forward-thinking, eager investigator of what lies beyond the current reality that most perceive, why not make a date to come play with me in the field of possibilities at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time every Thursday, and together we can discover what's really going on.
Hey everyone. Thanks for listening to Sexy Mom Abundant Life. I'm so grateful you're here.
As a listener, you can pop over to meetkathywilliams.com and get 20% off any item in the shop, including videos, energy pulls, even private sessions, by entering the code SMRadio. Also at meetkathywilliams.com, you can download a free Create Your Life exercise and join me for online classes and Hawaii retreats. And if you're stuck, helping you get unstuck is my specialty. I'd love to work with you one-on-one.
Hey, hon, what you doing with your phone? Taking pictures?
No, I'm asking it questions.
Like what?
Hey, Bobo, do flowers have best friends?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, follow me. I want to show you something. Look, flowers do have best friends.
Whoa.
Some answers can only be found in nature. Discover the unsearchable. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a trail near you. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Sexy Mom Abundant Life, everyone. This is Kathy Williams, and today I'm having a conversation about creativity, unstoppable creativity, in fact, and I'm playing on air with Jósa Goodlife. And we've been talking about writing. So if you're a writer, you're definitely going to want to go back and check out that conversation. We're going to enter a different sort of conversation now, more about like, what do you do when you are stopping yourself? You know, and timelines, like expectations about timelines, which is something that we did start to talk about. Like, oh my gosh, this book isn't done yet, right? And judging ourselves or judging the project because it's not done. So what do you do in that case? You mentioned you sort of realized that, oh, now is the time for your book to be happening, right? Even though you felt it should be done by now.
Oh, yeah. That's a very interesting, I think for me, it kept on being like this growing project. When I started to realize that, in the beginning, I had a seed, and then it became this tiny little plant, and I had to really take care of this plant. And now it's like, it's a big bush, it's bush like of flowers. So, but, it was, luckily I work with a lot of like tools in order to know that I don't have to judge this and I don't have to judge myself. I know there's a lot of like, creators out there that might not have these tools. So I sympathize. I hope you find these hope you find tools to get you unstuck, and I know that Kathy is an amazing coach to help you to get unstuck. In case you're stuck. And basically, actually what happened to me was like, it's like big magic. It's like, the book Big Magic, how, what do you say? The roads, the paths of the universe are so like, you don't have a clue in a way. You have a feeling or a knowing about something, but you don't know how it's going to show up. So I would just have to keep on believing. I would have to believe that eventually, even though I would be 60 years old, this book is going to be ready. And if that, and I mean, I had this time frame 10 years, like when I started to realize, because there's something in the journey that showed me that it was 10 years. And, it was disappointing to me when I realized that I hadn't been working hard enough to get it out there, like to finish it in that 10 years. But now I'm like, once I went over, I started to have much more ease, actually. So that's
when you went over that 10-year point, or when you went over the
10-year point, when I realized it's not going to happen, now, and I would be like in this like I can't even, I can't even describe what feeling it was or what state it was. It felt like in a way that I was maybe highly pregnant and I couldn't give birth to the child. It was like,
yes.
constipated. And
yes.
like, I'm going to explode.
Anyone who's had a baby knows that feeling. You're like, well, maybe not if you have a preemie, but like those last few weeks are just like, okay, come on now, anytime now, like yesterday, please. Yeah.
But there's something else that takes over. Like for me, it's something else took over, and that was just like this belief that, it's gonna come when the time is right. And the magic for me right now, I have to say, if it would have been released last year, I wouldn't sit with this project now, and there's so much magic that is revealing right now, showing up because of this time that we're in. And I did my sentence before, but I feel like I can't, like that's, and now I'm just like, wow, that's why,
I love that. And that, comes down to, I think, two things, and that is trusting the timing, not like my timing superimposed on the project. Like when I was trying to name a book that I created, Relationships Done Easy is the title. When I was trying to figure out the title, which in fact I knew at the very beginning, but then I didn't really love it, and I wanted something cooler, I wanted it like now, right? I need it now. I need to know, like, clarity, and I need to know when the book is going to be released. Like, I want it done by December, right? And that is my mind's superimposed timeline. Like, that's functioning from the should. Okay? And when creative projects are happening, like, shoulds don't really exist because we all create so differently. Some people, like, the song Alleluia was created over time with modification. It wasn't downloaded and then just came through. It was like this finely articulated, the beautiful masterpiece that took years, right, to be crafted. But then there are other, songs or pieces or like the poetry Elizabeth Gilbert talks about in the book, that just kind of, it's like a download. It just comes through and it's beautiful and there it is. And that's how, when I was creating the class Radical Abundance, that's how I sat down and I did the manual in 2 hours and then it was done, right? It was just like pouring through. And then over time, that was also shaped a little bit and modified and stuff like that. But it's like when we're functioning through how creativity should work, we end up getting frustrated because then we kind of feel like creatively constipated because it's not happening the way I think it should be happening, right? Which is not actually a problem, except that we make it into a problem. Right? Like,
oh yeah, we are the worst. We make so many problems out of something that wouldn't have to be a problem.
And then, so what I love about, you said tools that we have. Some of the tools we have are questions. Like how would this project like to show up? What could I add to it today? Any of us who has babysat or mothered a child, like, knows that you can contribute to that person, even a spouse, right? You can contribute to them, but you cannot control them into being what you want them to be. It will never work.
Exactly. And that's the power of, like, that brings me to what is I actually wanted to also mention is, like, how, each project is its own entity, each project has its own life form. I mean, and when I started to realize that this wasn't a book about me and my journey, like it wasn't about me, it was much, much bigger than that. And it's, it's been showing so many surprises on the way. how it wants to show up. But when I start to honor that really, truly, and give that the space that it requires for me to understand how it wants to be,
Yeah.
That's when you're communicating, like with a child, what would you like to play with today,
I love that idea of honoring it.
Yeah.
And, we each have different relationships with our projects. And for some people, creating is a very sacred act. For some, it's very ritualistic. And for others, it's like, oh, I'm driving in my car and I have ideas for the book, so I better pull over and dictate those before they go away. Or just, when I'm at a stoplight, write a note to myself or something. It's like we each have our own relationship with creativity that is okay and ours and not wrong. And so I'm just super curious about what kind of tools you like to use when you are feeling a little bit like, oh, I'm not sure how this is going, or you're feeling a little blocked.
So after when I realized that I'm a very untraditional, first of all, I'm not educated, right? I've never even taken a writing course, other than some little ones online just for fun. But I haven't really, so I'm very non-ritualistic when it comes to every creation. I'm always wishing that I would be more ritualistic. But the funny thing is that I kind of end up laughing because I'm like, well, then I'm trying to wish to be something else. And, what about going ahead with just being who I am and following, maybe it's nice to have some kind of okay, for instance, now, working with my fantastic editor, I know that, she's going to poke me. Yeah. Well, Kathy pokes. So if you haven't heard from me for a week or maybe even 10 days, you're like, hey, what's going on? When next time? And I love it. That which means that for me it works really well because I have it's kind of it's a drive. It's a drive force, and I know okay, now is the time to just. And it doesn't even take so much. I'm not literally sitting and writing every day. I'm not. So that's also probably why it's been taking all these years. Which is cool. That's the way how I function with it. But yeah, what do? I use that as a force. I know that it's good for me to work with someone, definitely. And then
I want to add to that just for a moment because I think it is really useful to work with someone. And it's got to be the right person, at least in my experience, because if you tell somebody something about that you're creating and maybe they have jealousy or maybe they just have doubt, and that can kind of poison the whole bathtub of water.
Absolutely. I know.
And so the idea of allowing someone to know, I think also because a lot of us, when we make promises, when we say maybe, oh, I'm going to do this by X date or something like that, if you're like that, we'll do it if we say it to another person to keep our word. But if we say it to ourselves, I'm going to do this by Friday, and Friday passes and we've gotten nowhere, we're like, well.
I know.
Because we've made 17,000 promises to ourselves in the past that we haven't kept. So we're just used to it. Yeah.
Definitely. I know. But I think it's I feel to me, it's, now I have a relationship with this book. So I feel it's a lover that I'm neglecting if I don't go there,
I love that analogy. I love that you're neglecting. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's a big part of me. It's also a part of me that I'm neglecting if I don't go there, because it is a promise that I made to me to eventually finish. And even like the finish right now, yes, it's somewhere out there. What is more important to me right now is to be in the process. I love being in the process, and that might even become scary to know now, like, oh my God, I'm going to finish this at some point, right? Yeah.
There will always be another project.
Yes. There are so many.
That's a really interesting thing, though. I've never really thought about, or, on this kind of level, that might actually be something that stops people, right? Like, I love this process, so I don't want it to ever end, so I'm just going to keep going on it endlessly. Yeah. I mean, for me, when I was editing my first chapter that was in a book, it was a chapter about moving to Hawaii. And just like that process of manifestation and creation. And I could have edited that for 40 years, but not because I loved the process and it was so yummy. I just wanted to milk it forever. It was more, I wanted to make it perfect, right? And I thought it was about me, like, like, what gift is this chapter for those people who are going to read it? Which is a very different perspective from it's got to be perfect because people are going to judge it and then they're going to judge me. That's making it very me-oriented versus like, this is a gift for the people it's going to strike in that way and open something up for.
Exactly.
So there's that. I think that perfectionism is a nail in the coffin type of thing, in terms of creative projects. And that is one of the things we can allow to stop us. But done is better than perfect.
Oh, yeah. And that's I've heard this many times recently. So I love that, which is also, right now, I mean, being in this book and honestly, I would never have realized that editing would be such a mofo project, Editing is much more than writing the book, It's like, it because it's the thing is like, it's always changing, And then you do something in a chapter and you have to go back to the person and just look at, and then you start re-editing. I mean, so I'm learning a lot from this, but it's kind of funny that that's something that reveals itself when you write your first book, I guess, like how that can be tricky. And what do you do with that? Like,
just ride the waves. I think the very process of creativity is like allowing it to come through, but then not being like super attached to one, how it ends up being, but also two, how other people receive it. Because how they receive it is filtered through all their filters of experience.
Sure.
So, we're on a break already.
The future of Internet radio is here. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. AscendingHearts.com.
Hey everyone. Thanks for listening to Sexy Mom Abundant Life. I'm so grateful you're here. As a listener, you can pop over to meetkathywilliams.com and get 20% off any item in the shop, including videos, energy pulls, even private sessions, by entering the code SMRadio. Also at meetkathywilliams.com, you can download a free Create Your Life exercise and join me for online classes and Hawaii retreats. And if you're stuck Helping you get unstuck is my specialty. I'd love to work with you one-on-one.
More than 24 million Americans have an autoimmune disorder, and that number continues to grow. I'm Sharon Saylor, and I'm one of those 24 million. To put that number in perspective, cancer affects about 9 million and heart disease up to 22 million. That's why I've brought together top experts and those thriving regardless of their diagnosis to bring you the latest, most up-to-date information. Join me, Sharon Saylor, Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, for the Autoimmune Hour on Life Interrupted Radio to find out how to live your life uninterrupted.
Hi, we're the Goo Goo Dolls. We're fortunate that our daughters have what they need to grow and learn. But that isn't the case for nearly 13 million kids in the U.S. that struggle with hunger.
Childhood hunger is a heartbreaking reality that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste and provides it to families and children in need.
You can help kids in need in your community by visiting feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Sexy Mom, Abundant Life. This conversation today is about creativity, particularly in the time of, being isolated. It's possibly a good time to kind of like explore where else can I apply my ingenuity, my creativity, maybe even creating something that helps people that's never been invented before. Who knows? I think I read that comment that, there is no end to the ingenuity of the human species, which I think is so true. And so as Jósa, my guest today, mentioned before we went on air, how can we use all of this to our advantage? And I'd even beg the question, like, how can you apply the creativity that you have that may be going into freaking out, right? We're really good at painting monsters and then running from them in our heads. Like, how could you apply the creativity that you have in new areas, right, that are going to expand your life in different directions? And so we're going to explore some questions here in the last part of the show. And, let's go there. So what kind of questions do you love to ask in regards to creating?
First of all, like with a project, like a particular project, if I feel like, stuck or like something needs to happen, like, something that is awaiting to show up, then I would just basically ask that project, like, what do you require? I like to ask that question. But, on the other term, like if you don't even know what you don't have a clue what you're going to create. First of all, I would ask, like, what would be fun? What would be fun for me? What would be fun for me and what would be fun for maybe the world? Even though you never even have to show it to the world. But imagine that you would do it. And, and what would, what is there like a tiny little talent that I kind of have a feeling that I have, that I've been neglecting it? That I could, observe a little bit just to explore it and see where it takes me. And you don't, and please, no conclusions, because whenever you have a conclusion, that's going to stop you in track instead of just opening up the doors.
I love that. I really love that. And it makes me think of a client I worked with. I worked with her for years. This was probably like 15 years ago. That this experience happened. And she came to me because at that time I was doing a lot of in-person coaching sessions. And she came and I said, what would you like to work on today? And she said, I'm really free-form today. I don't have anything specific going on. So I said, well, in that case, I have some ideas. We could do this or this or this. I rattled off like a handful of things. And she said, well, any of those except dancing. right? I don't want to do dancing. And so I said, well, then I'm going to suggest something that we do dancing. I'm a very, very, what do you call it? Like non-threatening person.
Right.
And so let's just play with this a little bit since there are some
Did she have
here.
fun with it? Can I ask you? Did she have
Oh
fun
my
with
gosh. It's Jósa. She ended up later, 5 years later, entering dance competitions.
What?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's like,
See?
what have you decided about yourself? Whether you've decided you can't cook or sing, right? So many people have hang-ups about singing. And it's because their brother told them in second grade that they couldn't sing or something ridiculous like that. It's like, well, maybe you can't sing yet, right? But with some training, maybe you can't paint yet. But if you watch YouTube videos and you just follow the instructions, you know what I mean? Or you don't even watch YouTube videos. You're like, well, if I could paint, how would I paint?
Yeah.
And then you get some paint and you just do it.
Yeah.
And see
question.
what emerges.
Yeah. I know. And, it's funny because I remember also at some point I was like, I don't know, I'm a funny creator. All of a sudden I was like, okay, I have these, there's a kid was playing with a Play-Doh thing.
Yeah, Play-Doh.
Yeah, or modeler. What do you say? Yeah, Play-Doh. But it was like this sculpty thing, and I started to realize, oh my God, I was like, wow, if I do something with this, it's going to show up like something that I remember wondering a lot about as a kid. And then I was like, oh, it's really that's just a kid. But then I was like, I got so obsessed with the idea that I started creating it, and I ended up making jewelry out of it because it was so fascinating. So I would encourage people to go and say hey, what did I really enjoy as a kid? Or just ask that question and see what shows up, because you might not even know yet, but then all of a sudden something shows up,
It's so true. Just exploring, maybe it's your friend creates jewelry, or you see this jewelry that you're like, oh, I would love to do that. Or, cooking is kind of an easy one because it's you've got to eat, or maybe you don't have to eat, but most people have to eat. So it's how could I add a splash of creativity to that? And just to me, it's really sad that art class and music and dance and those things are some of the first things to go from school curriculum, because those are where we get to kind of express things that, even traumas, right? A friend texted me some months ago and wrote, John Lennon and Paul McCartney both had their mothers die when they were really young.
Wow.
Which is interesting because my friend is a very well-known musician as well, and he had his mother die when he was young. And it was sort of how much of our challenges are channeled into creation, you and your cancer, and there is so much that can come out of what we've been through in our life experience. And art is therapy. Creation is therapy.
Oh my God. And that's that's what everything, when I started to realize that my book is about that. My book is about, actually, hopefully at some point helping people to take something and what would you like to do with your story? How would you like to play with your story? And that can actually also be an amazing thing to do right now. Find something from your life that you have maybe neglected. It doesn't have to be anything traumatic, or it can be a little story from when you were a kid or a teenager, and play with it. See what you can create. Maybe you will draw a picture from it. Maybe you will want to you cook a meal from it. I don't even know. You know, it's like there's no limits. Creativity, there's no limits, and that's what we love about it.
Yeah. So it's not only therapeutic, but it expands our lives, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like something that may have been buried deep inside or painful and wounding gets to kind of grow into something else that actually, you know, inspires.
Yeah, and I can say just for myself, because now, you know, in my book, there's also going to be some painting and collage art, and that's something that I would never have, like, well, I mean, I know that I'm creative, you know, I used to draw really well and stuff like that, but I would be like, so it's so easy, guys, to say, I am not a painter or I'm not a writer and therefore I can't do this. But that's such a lie, you know, that's not true. But, you know, I would encourage everyone, you know, no matter, like, just to take a piece of paper and find some colors if you have them somewhere around. It can be like crayons, or it can be like, what are they called? Like, not oil colors, but the other, like the,
watercolors.
Watercolors or whatever that is, and
pastel.
And then just, you know, pastel. Yeah, just put a brush on a piece of paper and just see what happens. It's like, and then you can even throw it out after. But it sparkles this specific feeling in my body, at least, and I know a lot of people. You know, it's like, and you don't know exactly what until you do it.
And especially right now, you know, I mean, there's so much that needs to move through us that I think feels a little stagnated. That doing what you suggest sounds like a really cool way to get that flowing.
Yeah.
I love that you mentioned, you know, we think I'm not an artist or whatnot. And on my birthday, there's a little painting place in our town where they guide you kind of step by step through painting something and turn out music, and it's really fun.
Mm-hmm.
And those are pretty popular right now. You took my mother on my birthday, and she's like, well, I can't paint, you know, and we ended up doing this tree with cherry blossoms, and hers was the most beautiful one. And I'm like, you probably haven't painted in like 50 years, but yours is like the best.
That's amazing. Yeah.
My opinion, but it's like, what have we decided we can't do that we actually can do? And it's kind of rewarding or fulfilling to do, right? Just to create. So, you know, we're wrapping up the show. I just wanted to mention, like, where and just kind of shine our awareness in the direction of, let's pause and acknowledge where we do apply our creativity. Maybe that's at work for some of us, or with our kids, or, you know, kids we know for some of us, or maybe that's in our garden, or cooking, or design.
Mm.
Where do you apply your creativity? And where could you allow that to trickle into that you haven't yet?
Mm.
And where could you allow it to expand more?
Yes.
Yeah.
And where do you not have to stop yourself anymore? I think, like, this time that we're in right now, we can't keep on stopping ourselves. That's like, because now we've been literally stopped on the planet. Everyone are kind of stopped in a way, but to me that doesn't mean stop and stagnant. It actually means, where have you been stopping yourself? You know, where have you decided that you can't do this? You may be stuck in a job for like many years and you haven't been happy, and all of a sudden you lost the job, you know. So looking into, like, where have I been stopping myself that I don't have to stop myself anymore, and creatively.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uncork.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's been a pleasure to have you on the show, Jósa. Where can people get in touch with you?
Oh, So I'm in New York, but I have a webpage, goodlifecreation.com, and right now I'm doing some readings and some work online, and I'm also, if people are curious just to see the book, like what it is, I have a GoFundMe page for the book. So it's a GoFundMe.com, and it's /healing story.
Healing story. So GoFundMe.com/healing story. And then you are at Good Life Creation. No S, just goodlifecreation.com.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Okay.
And
Thank you so much.
it's been a delight to have you on the show. And
Absolutely.
Of course, I love to hear from listeners as to, what this struck in you, if you have questions about the show or topics you would like to see on the show. I'd love to hear from you, and you can do that at meetkathywilliams.com. Also coming up is a Right Time class. If you want to get your words out onto the page or into the world, the Right Time is a super fun way to do it. So yes.
Yes, it is.
Oh, all right. Well, if you can't wait till next Thursday, find us on SoundCloud, Spotify, YouTube, and at IOM.FM. That's where all the replays are. Have a great week, everybody. Stay well and happy as best you can, moment by moment. There's so much to be thankful for. All right. Aloha.